This is Margaret Ann Windsor. Yeah, I'm fighting with this phone stand. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. I just wanted to put this up. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are having some fun at my expense. But this has been going on all my life, except for the first 2 years, and it was actually going on then. There's not a one of you that doubts what I'm saying. If you cared at all, one iota, you could filter back day after day where I've done, most of the time up until recently, I've done 5 to 6 videos a day. So, I've put up the papers to back so much of it up. And let me, use the right words here, would know it's the truth. I've even put up things by Jack. That didn't matter to these people. They don't care. They're bullies, and they're having their fun coming after me. For telling the truth, it may backfire on you. Truth may be told, and it may not end like you think. Of course, you may get lucky. So you're having your fun, and it appears that and so far it's pretty much been that way. Anybody can just beat the crap out of me, do anything they want to, and have their fun, get away with it. And that's what you're doing. These people, and they know who I'm speaking of. So you're having your cake and eat it too. Problem is, I paid for your cake. All right? So where am I going with this? I'm rebuttaling the only way I can, and you're really not worth it. So maybe time will tell, and if I prevail, and this is all told, I will have contentment of my mind, knowing that some people are going to pay for their crimes. And I'm going to leave it there. In high school, I was put in Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a dead twin, Peggy. And Peggy and Carl were born out of wedlock, and back then, being illegitimate, or they were called bastards, ostracized and everything. So I was put there by the Kennedys, and I put all this up over and over and over, 5, 6 videos a day, since I remember very well. Someone helped me with the phone, and even made a couple of videos there cutting up. So that was August the 3rd of 2013. Prior, that'd be a year prior, I'd started on Facebook. So all this is up there. In Facebook, I put all this up too, except some of the videos when I started on that. And I've had so much trouble with Facebook now. Getting, it's just bizarre. It's like, well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. But in high school or in grade school, where I was put there at Moulton and given the name of Peggy, and of course, they fed her to the pigs about a week or 2 before they dropped me off there, and made my life a living hell, and my children when they were born. I went to school, and I was called bastard. I had no father, and the father, supposedly, the real Peggy and Carl, the twins that were killed, they were born out of wedlock, it was supposed to be Freeman Norwood. Now then, his wife was named Geneva. Norwood. So you get into the treaties in Geneva, and if you want to say that you think this is not true, you've had that right. Where my civil rights have been ignored, I don't have any. Anyway, I can remember, I was put there, and I'm going to tell this about George. He's the one that he was the cousin to Peggy, the real Peggy. And he contacted me about 4 years ago, and he's the one decent person out of that family. He was 3 years older than me. I would have been probably 3 or 4 years older than the real Peggy. But when I was put there, he called me up, and I know I'm skipping around, but I think you can understand. In fact, I know you can when you want to. And you know who I'm putting this out here to. He called me up, and he said, I hadn't heard from George in years. He's retired. And I don't know if he had the earphones on. He told me something about it. He had earphones on. He told me later that he's a talk show host. I knew him way back when I worked at the health spa back in '64, I guess it was, in Huntsville. I managed women's part of the health spa. And he came down and took some pictures, for sales. I was like showing, supposedly I'm the manager, but at the last minute, a customer, I felt like I should wait on her, and when I got back out, they'd already started without me. And Doris Daniels, assistant there, ended up with my job. Anyway, I left. She went around and had the pictures made, and then there was so much hoopla over it that finally, Grady Reeves, that's his name, he came out, and he did take some pictures of me, and they were very nice, and it was put up a few times. Of course, this was supposed to be a commercial. So you've got Doris, the assistant, or part-time, that ended up with my job, but she was the one that was doing the commercials, because I stepped in to help this lady, and they went on without me. I guess Grady didn't even know. But this is his nephew, I believe, that's with George these years later, and this was about 3 or 4 years ago. George got my phone number, and he told me that later in the conversation that Grady Reeves' nephew, I believe it was there with him. So I don't know. I don't see George as being vicious. And no, I don't like what he did. I grew up feeling the shame from it, and then all this other has come to be that just really is, it's not been told, and I hope it is. I sincerely pray it is. And anyway, he came on, and he said something about, this is when they first put me there, so they had just killed Peggy. So George remembered. They all remembered. He was the only one who had the guts to say it. And because he's a decent person, George is. He said, do you remember? Right away he said this, so I wonder what he thought I was going to say. And this is Grady's nephew has a program on TV or something, radio, too. So I don't know if I was getting set up. I don't think George would. I really don't. But he said something about he had gotten my phone number, and that he had, he said, do you remember that, he says, I was going to show you the facts of life. And suddenly somebody, and I remembered this when he said it, he said, I was slammed down on I remember where it was. It was out at the barn. And he was trying to do something. And here I am, I can't, he was a kid. He's 2, 3 years older than me, 3 maybe. So obviously he and Peggy, and I'm not trying to condone this. I felt shame all my life and pain because even though subconsciously I remember being kidnapped now and all of it, and I've been told. I couldn't make this up, so stop being silly, people. And not just silly, it's vicious and mean that you don't believe it. Go through the videos I've put up, because this is the only outlet I have since 2012, 2013 on YouTube. August the 3rd, 2012. The videos I put up day by day and put out the information. So stop with this bull that you don't understand and calling me names. You can call me names now, call me liar, and you're doing that right now and you're having fun. You better enjoy it. It may not last long. Anyway, just maybe. And it ain't the way you think it is. If it ends the way I think, there will be justice. And it's not quite what you think. So I know these are hollow words right at the moment. And that's why you're bullies. You're beating on me because you're loving it. And hey, I'm Brit, right? My mama's an American. To hell with her, according to you all. Most of you, except for a few. So George on the phone said he was, so I have with what he said, he's got Grady Root's nephew there, and they're recording it or something. So I don't know what, off the cuff, he thought I was going to say. I told him I didn't remember it. And I told him what I remembered was that he was kind, and growing up, and George was the only friend I had in that family. He took some beatings when they were going to beat me. I remember it. And George is a decent person, really. And I want to say that he had guts when the rest of his family hasn't. They've lied. They should be put in prison. And half of them are dead now. So before this goes off, George, you know, the thing is, I can remember what he was telling. And I can remember someone appearing that I didn't know. He was talking about this person. He didn't say who he was. He just said he remembered being slammed to the ground and looking up at the sky. I remember that. But this person I never saw again that I know. He just appeared out of nowhere. So anyway, I'm not going to get into that anymore, other than the hell I grew up being called bastard. I remember going across the field. They had this bull in this field, and you'd have to go across there to borrow sugar or something to the Norwoods. Now, they're supposed to be, if I were Peggy Dempsey, then they would be related to me because Freeman Norwood was supposed to got Lina Dempsey pregnant. Well, she was 5 years older than him. He was 17 years old, so you take it from there. You know, he's not my dad. My dad's Edward VIII, and all this is absolutely true. And the shame is you all have let it happen. Now, that bull, I was always so afraid when I'd have to go there. I would go to any extent to get away and around, and that bull scared me to death. And I remember going in with, I think it was Jean, or Annie, one of the sisters, Selina, and went in, and suddenly, this is the Norwoods, and we're going to borrow something. They did that back then. And this woman's at the piano, and she jumps up and she says, "Get that girl out of here. Get her out of here." Something about she's not the daughter of she was Freeman Norwood, who Lina Dempsey went into court in Moulton back in those years and tried to prove paternity. Of course, they didn't have DNA, I don't guess, back then. By the way, I think that burned. All that stuff burned. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn. I heard it did later when I started learning about all, putting it together and learning about all of it. I don't know how this is going up. I don't. And I don't know why it's useless to put it up. It either has to go into court, or I have to say you all have continued, so many of you, obviously this hasn't been brought into court, and you're slamming me on YouTube and God knows where else. You better have your fun. It may not last long. And I'm serious about that. It may not. If this goes into court, you're going to wish to hell you'd never, because you might always get away with it. So far, looks like everybody has. Now, George was talking to me, and I told him that he took, what I remembered was I didn't say I remembered anything, so I guess he'll see this video. Haven't spoken with him in a while. And because he sent me some things, these pictures of the Dempseys, and I think the Dempseys got mad at him for doing it. But back to Geneva Norwood, who is sitting at the piano, and she starts saying, and she was wetting her pants, seeing me, and I'm not even the real Peggy. My God, it shocked me, and I'm crying. She's screaming, get her out of here, get her out of here. So if it was Jean Dempsey or whoever, the other Annie Dempsey, I don't know, but they took me out. So I'm thinking, gee, it must be bad. What are they screaming at me for? And so anyway, on the school bus, things would be done. I was picked on beyond belief. I remember this big fat kid was always trying to kiss me, and nobody would stop it. They were taunting me. And then I had to wear what they called it, Guiana sack or something. It was made out of fertilizer, slips. I was lucky to have any little shoes or anything. And I can remember them pulling my slip down from under my dress and said, ooh, what's this? What's this? And it happened at school. I remember, well, I better not put her name up there, Anita Reynolds. She turned out, her father was put there in the forestry, head of the forestry, worked for him. And Anita was come to school, I believe, in the 5th grade. We were friends a little bit, but Anita was supposed to be the highfalutin. Her father had the job, and he would take her up in the forestry plane and all of this. Well, where am I going? Oh, later I'm working at the 10-cent store when I'm about 15 years old, working Saturdays from 9 to 5. No, I'm kidding about that, all day long, for $2.50, which I turned over to Lina Dempsey. And I remember Anita coming in, and it shocked me because she'd been sent off to private school. And I wondered, she came in, and she's a pretty girl. She was petite. When the last time I'd seen her, she was a big girl in the 6th grade to be in the 6th. Now then she comes back when I'm about, I guess, 15. I didn't have a tax number or anything. And she came directly back to me and left, walked out the front door and left. She said hi to me, and she sat there and talked to me for a few minutes. I got the feeling she absolutely knew who I am, and I think her father, because the forestry gets involved in all this too, way back then. And some of the people I didn't just meet by coincidence. But anyway, it was taunting me all through grade school. Yeah, I can remember only getting 2 Valentines at one time, and you had to tell how many Valentines you got, because I was this poor little Peggy, and that's the name I used, and called bastard and all this. I even had Howell later when I attended a wedding after me and my husband were married, and we went back for a wedding. That was the last time I went back to Moulton, I believe. And the old principal, Howell, he had been demoted, and he come at me. I mean, the wedding was just ending, and he come and made this big deal. He remembered me, and I had told my husband about him,